our whole culture encourages us to not only resist and ignore, but actually resent our own bodies. And when you think about that, how could that not set us up for health problems?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the call. We are excited today. I'm Lacey Grimm, and I'm here talking to Barbara Hanneloré, and we are going to be talking about womanly cycles a little bit. She does some really specific and beautiful work helping women understand their cycles better, and I'm really excited for her to share with us. And we're going to go ahead and start and ask her, Barbara, would you please share with us how you got started? Just kind of a brief history of, where you've come from and how you've landed in this place of service.
Yes, thank you, Lacey. Well, I'm so happy to be here. And it's a little hard to know where to begin, but I grew up loving nature, as so many of us did. And I encountered along the way a lot of mentors and teachers who were able to show me that women's cycles, the menstrual cycle, is a rhythm of nature, is similar to the rhythm of the moon, similar to the rhythm of the seasons, the rhythm of day and night. And I just became dedicated to sharing this, because I realized if women know how to honor our bodies and step into our own rhythm. In fact, your speaker yesterday was talking about the cycle and the fact that we're not the same from one week to the next. And that's what I show people, not in such clinical or nutritional terms, although I love to refer to people like who specialize in nutrition and hormones, but I just show women the fact that they have a rhythm and how to anticipate your needs in the coming weeks, how to take advantage of the time around your menstrual time as a time for self-care. And when women start to do that and kind of sort through their weeks and plan ahead, it starts to change everything. Oh, and I wanted to show you, I wrote a book. So this is my book called The Moon and You.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
And in the first chapter is about what is a cycle, because I just love coming back again and again to the rhythms of nature.
Oh, I love that.
And so this is the moon, as you can see, but then you can overlay the seasons onto this, and then I overlay the menstrual cycle onto this. So menstruation is like our own sort of darker introspective time. Mm-hmm. And then our ovulation is more like full moon, radiant, focused on everybody else, more social time. And it starts to really change everything when women can know how to anticipate and support that rhythm.
I think it's so important. And culturally, we follow sort of the Hebrew calendar a lot. We do the Hebrew calendar, the holidays and things that are really based on the moon. And as the most ancient culture, it really is like, oh, so this is, how we were designed, is to follow these cycles and be in touch with these cycles. And this day and age, we're so cut off from that. And it takes a minute for us to get back and take a step back and say, oh, that maybe is important for us. Maybe understanding that would make us more connected and more understanding of what's going on.
It does, and it automatically connects us. When we start following rhythm, we connect to nature, we get help with ourselves from nature. It's wonderful.
Yes, yeah, and as homesteaders, the cycles of the year are so sort of fundamental in everything that we do. And why can't we apply that into our lives on a monthly basis too? I mean, the more you can break down each rhythm, the better off you'll be. Okay, so can you share with us, you mentioned to me before we started chatting on the call that you also have experience with massage therapy. What other kinds of things and experiences and maybe education did you go through to sort of understand all of this more?
Oh yeah, I've been practicing massage for 30 years. I went and got my first massage and I liked it so much I raced off to massage school, and I've been doing it. It's perfect for me. I really enjoy it. But I as I said, I encountered some mentors who really helped me understand the menstrual cycle, and I saw what they were doing, and I started doing it too. Mm-hmm. And then I trained as a coach, and I trained as a life coach. Although she was very unusual, she was a nurse. She was very body-centered in what she did, which was lovely for me because I help women with their bodies. And I liked that so much, I trained again as a health and wellness coach. And then I also trained in expressive arts, which is so fun because whatever I do with women or groups, I almost always allow them time to draw. Just like, okay, now draw for 5 minutes. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's just wonderful for the individual to see what she creates, and it's always meaningful to her.
Yes, it is. I'm the same way. If we ever have like events, group events, I'm like, okay, we're going to do a craft. We're going to do something hands-on because that experience is important and we don't highlight it enough. I think in our culture, it's such an accessory and not a like need. And I think you're right. It's totally a need. And it's scratching that. It's just
Yeah.
so important for people. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you could describe to us your perfect person to work with, your perfect client or perfect person to read your book, maybe.
Oh, well, I have taught ever since I finished the book about 5 years ago. I've taught classes based on the book, which are still available, and I do them online most of the time, so that's perfect for now.
Yeah.
And I have a 5-week class based to go through the 5 chapters of the book about how to realign yourself towards your menstrual cycle, and it includes culture, and it includes coming of age, and how to talk to your daughter. And then I've started. I have a wonderful series for menopause as well.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Then I finally got together a really nice online kit for mothers to prepare for their daughter's coming of age. And that the final chapter of my book is about coming of age. It's not only about what to say to your daughter, but how to address your own coming of age, how to go back, talk to your own inner girl who probably didn't get the support she could have used, right?
Right.
And so I just kind of expanded on that and made this whole kit. Again, it's online, it's downloadable, of all these resources for how to talk to your daughter, conversations, activities, crafts, simple ceremonies, how to prepare her ahead of time, special things to do when the time comes, and then how to go back and address your own coming of age, give reassurance to your own inner girl who also wants to feel special. She doesn't want to feel left out when you're doing this for your own daughter, right? And then how to take another look at your own menstrual cycle to see that, because you can probably have a better experience yourself. And of course, everything you do for yourself is going to help your daughter. And I find that for moms real holistic moms, real activist moms, they can have a hard time with this conversation with their girls. And I think it's because, they want it to be not awkward, but they don't quite know. And they're kind of surprised, like, gosh, I don't quite know what to say. And I think it's often because they didn't get a very good introduction themselves, so when they look back, there's not much there. And so this is very helpful because it puts it in the context of nature again. Like, well, talk to your daughter about the moon and start young. You can start before even age 8. I find 8 to 10 is really ideal because they haven't gotten any kind of,
they're open-minded.
Yes, they're still really open, really curious. And
yes, it's not a touchy subject yet.
Yeah, they haven't shut down like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah. So my friend had a daughter who was 10 who had gotten a really bad impression of menstruation. My friend was like, oh no. So she decided that she and I decided I should come over once a month for tea, and we would have these conversations, and we just started drawing. I have these calendars, they're actually in my book, but we started coloring calendars.
Nice.
We glued this to a larger piece of paper and decorated around it like a border, and we just talked about the moon, and she quickly became much more confident about her upcoming, passage into young womanhood. So
yeah, I love this because my mom did a pretty great job. She did better than her mom did, and so I'm sure going back, it was kind of like this taboo topic for such a long time, and then coming out of that has been tricky, and it takes, I think, a little bit, and we have to be a little bit focused. And I think like celebrating a new holiday can feel foreign. Doing something that you didn't experience with your own parent can be foreign, right? And this just makes it so much easier. It's like a guidebook for celebrating instead of kind of blindly trying to muddle your way through. So
I know. And I've really observed that it does make a big difference.
Yeah. I think women in particular, I met grown women who still don't have the confidence in their cycles and those processes. And so how could they possibly translate to their daughter without some help? So I love that. That's really great. You've already shared a great testimony, which is usually my next question. I love hearing that specific element. Like, how has someone already used what you're doing and they are? What would you say to somebody who's skeptical about what you're trying to share and teach people?
I would say try it because it seems so simple. And yet when women start kind of daring, because our whole culture encourages us to not only resist and ignore, but actually resent our own bodies. And when you think about that, how could that not set us up for health problems? And it creates such an incredible disconnect for women to be distancing ourselves from our own bodies. And so to start really simply and just try to, one of the first things I do is have women print out a couple of, I love working on real paper, get the app out of your phone and get the calendar out of the app and onto the, refrigerator so that interacting with your cycle within the home, and I encourage women to print out one of these and put a line through it for the coming month when you anticipate having your premenstrual and menstrual days. And on those days, you just don't put any optional activities so that you leave some free time for yourself. You don't schedule doctor's appointments or even get-togethers with friends because you just want to allow yourself to step back. That starts to change things so quickly because then you're not only allowing and knowing when you'll have time for self-care and for catching up with yourself, but then it helps you to optimize your more active, busy times of month too, because you go through your menstrual time feeling more refreshed, and then you emerge from your menstrual time refreshed instead of exhausted and resentful. So it really starts to make a difference.
I always say to people too, well, first of all, we are nature, right? We're mainly water. And then I think about the moon and its power over the oceans, right? And how it brings the tide in and it brings the tide out, and they're so interconnected. And why wouldn't we also be so connected? And it can be hard at first because it seems real woo-woo, right? Like, no, I'm not a moon child like that. But it's very, very powerful when we start realizing we are nature. We are. And so is the moon, right? And so is the cycles that we're a part of. So yeah, it's such a big reason to connect. I love it. Thank you for the work you're doing. So lastly, then I just have one more question. What is one simple thing that you do to keep yourself feeling your best and your healthiest on sort of a daily, maybe weekly basis?
Oh my gosh. I've started teaching self-care mini retreats that are anywhere from a half hour to a couple hours long with people. So I've been just loving to share all these self-care, very brief activities that I've gathered and sharing them with others in various ways. And I just want to mention that I'm starting to do this online for employees, like employers. This just happened, but employers want to help their employees through this time. Some of them are working from home. And so I've been taking these kind of self-care mini retreats, just half-hour calls to these groups of employees, and they just welcome it so much. That's one way of getting this self-care out into the population that needs it so much.
Yeah.
But one of the things I've started doing is getting down on the floor every day and doing some stretches. I'm just, being home more, I'm able to develop more of a rhythm to walk every day and to do my stretches every day because we don't want to be doing too much sitting. You really start to feel it. And turn that around and really take my body through its range of motion. And I often do it while I'm watching or listening to podcasts like yours. So it's a nice way to do two things at once. Yeah.
That's a good reminder for me because I've been missing podcasts because I listen in my car when I'm driving around town, like a mom does. And now I'm not driving very much. So but I am walking. So I just need to, I think, start listening while I'm walking because it is such a self-care thing to like take in new information and learn new things. And yeah, I love that. That's really great. Well, Barbara, is there anything else that you would like to share with our customers, our listeners before we say goodbye?
Well, back to self-care. I just want to encourage people that little things can make such a big difference. That simple breath that's unhurried.
Yes.
And the simple slowing down and shutting your eyes and imagining yourself in a beautiful place that nourishes you. All those things that we can do for ourselves. They're really messages turning our attention toward ourselves, even for a moment. It's what we crave.
Yeah. It is. I love that. Thank you so much, Barbara. I appreciate it so much. Everyone, you can connect with Barbara on her website, which is womenswaymooncycles.com. We will include that link if you're on YouTube or on Facebook or Instagram. If you're listening to the podcast, again, one more time, it is womenswaymooncycles.com. She has some really great information there accessible. I hope yes, go ahead. You have a thought.
I've got two different giveaways on my page.
Oh, yes, giveaways are wonderful.
Yeah, the first one is at the top of my website. You get a free booklet, How to Celebrate Your Daughter's Coming of Age. It's the first thing I wrote 20 years ago. The booklet is now part of the Mother's Moon Kit. So when you get that free booklet, there's also a code so you can get a discount for the Mother's Moon Kit. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then the other thing partway down the page is if you enroll there, then you get the free calendar downloads, which come with a 10-page sort of instruction on how to start working with your cycle with the calendars.
I love that. This is actually something I've been doing. I've been learning, and it's having somebody guide you through that makes all the difference in the world, because it can feel a little out there. And I'm totally with you. We're writing it down, because there are some apps that are useful, but I think writing it down is so much more, it just hammers it in deeper, I think. And
It's physical.
physical. Exactly. It's physical.
Yeah.
So everybody, I hope you enjoyed our call today, and please leave comments or ask questions for me, for Barbara. We are just thrilled to have shared this information with you, and I hope that you all start embracing your cycles more and feel equipped to share with other women and their children, girls especially. There's nothing more empowering than understanding your own physical body. So Barbara, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Lacey.